Former number 1 overall pick, 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl 36 champ, Drew Bledsoe. I'm not going to drink wine. I talked to Big Game and I was like, I have to get on a flight and I can't be acting crazy at the airport. I just can't.
I'm kind of disappointed in you. You know,
I knew you were going to say that.
Little breakfast wine.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Yeah.
Wine and bagel. What goes best with wine in the morning?
Oh, you know, to be honest with you, I don't eat breakfast that often. But when I do go out to breakfast, I don't mess around. I go straight like chicken fried steak with gravy and hash browns and all that.
True, that is so crazy.
I love it. I go for it. But that's like once every 2 or 3 months. The rest of the time, I have coffee for breakfast.
Me too. I don't do breakfast. I do a big lunch and I do a very little dinner. Lunch is my thing. Okay, how are you? What have you been doing?
I'm great.
You live the best life of anyone around.
We had a good summer hanging out in Montana. I was just at the winery yesterday. We're deep into the middle of it, making wine. But now, you know, my wife and I we're sort of in the second wedding season of life. You know, because you have that first wedding season when all your friends get married. Well, now all of our kids' friends are getting married, and so it seems like we're traveling to go to weddings pretty much every weekend, and we've got another one tomorrow. So you know, that's the exciting stuff in our life.
Are you first one on the dance floor?
Not the first one, but I'll get out there. A little bit. This one would be nice to know because the earlier this summer our son got married, and I actually had to marry them. So you're talking to an ordained minister now. I don't know if that makes you nervous, especially with some of your lifestyle choices. But that was nerve-wracking. I actually had to get up there and then perform the ceremony, and I'm certainly comfortable speaking in public and all of that, but I was just nervous that I was just going to be a blubbering idiot and just cry my way through the whole thing.
And you, of course, were.
I think I cried the appropriate amount.
And what is that? What does that look like?
You just a few tears, maybe like a dramatic pause where you kind of collect yourself a little bit. But I was just because and I'm not afraid to cry. You know, I'm a modern man. I don't worry about it. But
a modern Montana man.
Modern Montana man. But the problem is my voice cracks if I cry, and that's what I really didn't want. Then that sounds kind of weird. So
I made it
through without my voice cracking.
And that's all that really matters. That's what they say. The key to lasting love. Make sure the ordained minister that's also your dad and also a great quarterback legend doesn't crack his voice. That's what I've read.
There you go. That's rule number 1.
That's what they say. Over under on self-deprecating jokes during the actual ceremony that you made. 2.
I think it was probably exactly 2.
Yeah.
So had to throw a couple in there. They didn't want it to be too overly serious, so actually, tried to keep it light. It was fun.
Your best marital advice, Drew Bledsoe. Hit me.
Best marital advice. I know the simplest one is just be nice. And when you have that just perfect comeback, insult, whatever. When the argument, just don't even say it. Just put it away. Don't say it. Sleep on it. Revisit it. And then the other one is we try to if you have to have a hard discussion, do that in the morning over coffee, not later in the night after a couple glasses of wine.
And that's why I'm not drinking wine. And you're trying to get me to drink wine in the morning. You want me to be single forever, Drew? Come on. You're not going to get me married if I'm throwing back wine in the morning.
Just if you're going to have an argument. If you're going to find a date, go ahead and have that wine all day.
Yeah, there's no arguing in the early stages of dating. That's for sure. Now I just want to crack this thing open. Should we talk a little football, my friend?
Yeah,
congratulations,
sure,
by the way. That's very exciting.
Yeah,
that must be wild to watch your kid get married.
It is kind of wild. It's pretty cool. Now we're just hoping they give us some grandkids here pretty soon. We're ready.
Yeah, no pressure. Don't.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
You're crazy. I love that. Okay, let's talk last night. You weren't probably, I don't know if you were watching. I don't know what you were doing. But the Giants get this crazy win over Philly. It was a great game. Jaxson Dart, he's out there juking defenders. He's making stupid throws. He's high-fiving refs. I'd love to show you here. Hopefully, I think we have some of it. Yeah. What has impressed you about him?
This kid just seems to have remarkable composure, which that is a really hard thing, when you're a rookie in the NFL, because things are happening so fast. Players are so outstanding, but he just seems to, it doesn't seem like the game is too fast for him, which is kind of surprising, for a young guy. I remember when I came into the league, I don't know, 3 decades ago or whatever that was. Okay, geez, I'm getting old. But Phil Simms, I think, had a quote back then that I think is totally true, is that by the time you get to kind of the middle of your second year, the game starts to slow down for you. But the way he's playing, it looks like the game has already slowed down for him. He's playing really good football, as a rookie.
There's a lot of discourse on if he needs to protect himself when he's running. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the dilemma, right? I remember, it'd be interesting because he has a great mentor for that on his own team. I remember watching Russell Wilson play when he would run. Russ has always had like this knack for being able to run and make plays, but never take the big hit. He would always get down or get out of bounds, and so if he just goes and puts on some Russell Wilson tapes and watches how Russ has protected himself over the years, that would be a great mentor, because that's one thing that allowed Russell Wilson to stay healthy for all these years, is that he would run and he would make the big plays, but he never got hit hard. I remember, I think the same, you think it's kind of the same thing that people have said about Josh Allen, and I think that's true. He plays such a physical style of football. He acts like a football player in first and a quarterback second sometimes, but he's been able to do it without getting hurt. But yeah, the best, I think the best ability is availability. So hopefully he can play the way he's playing and not get himself hurt.
As you're watching football, I mean, I cannot believe it's week 6. I'm going to London today. It's Jets Broncos. I literally cannot believe we just started week 6. What has surprised you the most so far this season?
Probably the implosion of the Ravens has been the most surprising thing. They're just a mashing it. Everybody's hurt. But to see, the kind of, I would say everybody's at least top 2 Super Bowl favorites, all of a sudden look like the worst team in the league has been really, really surprising. And it just is case in point that the NFL, man, it's these games are so close, and you can be on top 1 minute and then you get a few injuries at the wrong positions, and all of a sudden you're down there. And then on the positive side, the Colts have been surprising. They're really playing great football. Cool to see another one of those quarterback redemption stories. Where you see, but with Daniel Jones, get into a good situation, all of a sudden he's playing great football. It's always, we always love a good comeback story, right? And there's like 4 or 5 of them happen across the league at the quarterback position.
Another interesting thing going on in that same division, just with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know that it's redemption. He's in the same place, but he's at a revolving door of leadership around him. A total winner in college, has not had success on the National Football League level. Their defense is killer. Like, they're forcing turnovers like crazy. Who do you buy more rest of the way, Colts or Jags?
Oh, that's a good question. Right now, right now I'm going to say Colts, and I don't have a strong analytic defense for that, but I just feel like they're playing, super great football. But kind of cool to see both of those teams starting to rise up a little bit. And yeah, definitely happy for Trevor. He's a great football player, but they just have not been very good around him for a little while. And looks like they're on their way now.
What's the lesson in the whole Daniel Jones thing, right? Because I think a lot of people will say it's offensive line and they have a run game, right? But he had Saquon, and when he had Saquon and they were healthy, like, they did go to the playoffs with Daniel Jones, and he was really, really young. I want to say, like, did they give up on him too quick? Not really, because it kind of ran its course and did its thing, and now they have their guy. Now they have Jaxson, and it kind of all worked out for everybody. Is there a lesson in Daniel Jones or other thing where we keep seeing there's like a prevalence? It used to be like, oh, Tannehill's getting this chance at this comeback, or like, cool, Geno's doing it, but now it's like Sam. Everybody, like, what's going on here? That if you're like a GM or an owner, you're like buying or selling quicker on these guys. What's the story?
Yeah, the quarterback position is so fickle, and it's so heavily reliant on who you have around you, how the organization, your coaching staff, and the synergy there, and your play callers, and there's so many factors, because all of these guys are really talented players, right? That's especially these guys that are drafted in the first couple rounds, really talented guys. Now you just have to put the right system around them, the right players, the right play caller. But then there's also a maturity that happens for some guys, and it's that's why with some of these guys that Baker is playing at an MVP level. You see Sam Darnold having great success in Seattle. You got Daniel Jones and his resurgence. There are a lot of these guys that are showing up now, and it's also a credit to them, because one of the hardest things to do as a quarterback is to maintain the emotional side of it, and maintain your confidence when things have not gone well, and then continue to improve each day and each year, and so it's partly situational, and it's partly a credit to these guys for continuing to improve and believe that they were going to have success, even though they hadn't had it early on.
And the mental fortitude that takes, right? And it brings me right to Drake freaking Maye, because that's him. You're talking about system. You're talking about pieces around him having it be the right thing. It certainly feels that way. That win over Josh Allen was unbelievable. It was so fun to watch. Like now we got a little something here. We got a little something. Even in the division, they might just not, the Bills might just not run over everybody to their Super Bowl, or just for the coming year, something to hold on to. There's this idea that when you win a marquee game, it does something for you. Like when you beat Warren Moon or Brett Favre in your second year. Did that change stuff for you?
Yeah, it does. It's and Josh has certainly been the guy now for quite a few years, and for Drake to kind of go toe to toe with him and actually play a little bit of the same style of football, as Josh, and kind of beat him at his own game at home. That was a very, very big win for the Pats. Really happy for Vrabel. I've always loved Mike. We were teammates together. We were only teammates for 1 year together, but it felt like we were teammates for like 5 or 6 years. Just really had a great relationship with him, and I knew when Mr. Kraft, when he let go of Gerard Mayo, I knew he was going to hire Vrabel. And so happy for that organization, happy for Braves, and really happy to see Drake, playing at the level he's playing. He's another guy though that you mentioned earlier. Drake's another guy who's going to have to take care of himself. And not everybody can be Josh Allen and play like you're a linebacker and stay healthy. That doesn't work for everybody. But hopefully they can take that win and catapult themselves to maybe who knows, maybe even a playoff run. I thought it was maybe going to be still a year or two away for the Pats, but they're looking like they're a playoff team now.
Would you take them to go to the playoffs, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. They get to play the Jets and the Dolphins twice, so there's 4 wins. That seems like, which I think we've talked about before. I have no love for the Jets. I really truly don't. I don't really care if they ever win a game. But I do have love for Aaron Glenn.
It's a good week for you.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have some love for Aaron Glenn. We were opponents, early, and then we were teammates with the Cowboys for a few years. And I have great love for Aaron, and I really want him to have personal success. So maybe that'll happen when he's with a different team, because I have absolutely no love for the Jets whatsoever. It just kind of hurts me to have somebody that I truly care about, whose livelihood is tied to that team that I really, really hate.
You mentioned this, like protecting yourself, Wayne. When you said we're talking about Jaxson Dart, and you were watching those plays even from last night, and then you bring up Drake. Like, I've been around all of them. Josh just seems like a bad comp. Like, Josh to me is like so much, maybe he's not that much bigger. Hamilton, can you look up how like the heights maybe? But I feel like Josh is like so much bigger than everybody. Definitely Dart, maybe not as much Drake. So is it the same rules? Like, is it like less, is it, like Josh, I feel like Josh like is an animal, and the other ones do need to protect themselves a little more. And especially like with Drake, as you're watching, and like what you says goes a far way with the Patriots. How would you do that? How would you have McDaniel and Vrabel get him to protect himself? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a hard thing, because you're a competitor first, right? And you always want to make the play. You want to get that big first down. You want to, you're out there to compete. But I think, you just have to ingrain in them that, hey, look, we need you for the whole season, and it's a long season. I think that's one thing that's that, with 17 regular season games, 4 preseason games, and then if you make the playoffs, I mean, that's a long season for these guys, and I think that they have to understand that, hey, this is a marathon, and we need you for the whole year, and that's where you're more valuable to the team. But yeah, Josh just seems to be made out of something different. He's just kind of country strong, and so he's been able to play that way. I don't know if he's that much bigger than those guys, but he just is sort of, I don't know, made out of something different.
Do you think he's the MVP right now? Let's look at the FanDuel odds here. MVP's got plus 135 odds, I believe. Yeah, here we go. Anyone behind him you think that's a real threat?
If Baker continues to do what he's been doing, Baker, and not just on but like these comebacks. I think the first three games, comes from behind in the fourth quarter. If he continues this run that he's on, he's definitely in that conversation, which would be really cool, man. I like Baker, and he's ends up drafted by the friggin' Browns, and then gets bounced around and kind of backing up in LA, and just all of this stuff, and then for him to be playing at the level he's doing, he's playing at it, and these huge comeback wins, man, those matter to me if I'm voting.
Do you say this to Cowherd when you go on? I saw you were on Cowherd. Do you bring up your love for Baker?
You know what? I don't think we talked about it. I'll have to
gotta get you on.
I'll have to make sure I'll throw that in there next time. But
he's the absolute best. He's my favorite player. I think he's the most important player to his team right now. All things considered, he's the MVP.
Yeah. One thing that we did talk about with Baker, I think at some point, that it was who he was in college. He always just had this massive chip on his shoulder, because he was not scholarshiped, had to walk on, and then transferred schools and all of that. And then all of a sudden he's, number 1 overall draft pick, and he's got all these commercials, and everything's good. And I'm not sure that works for him. I'm not sure that works for his personality. I think he kind of needed to be kicked around a little bit again to really get that fire. And
I don't know. He's in commercials now. He's in Popeye's commercials.
I know he is, but he just having getting fired a few times and all of that stuff. I think that just works for his personality to have that.
I
big
just
chip
like
on
how
his shoulder.
vulnerable he's been about that. He's like an open book about it, and then he's found faith, and that grounds him. And I think that's beautiful too. And maybe not the easiest thing to talk about in this climate. So I like everything about it. And he just does not care. He does not care. It's really been beautiful to watch. Last one for you, very quick. Mac Jones. He might start this weekend. From your quarterback lens, have you seen something new out of Mac that we didn't know in New England? Quick.
He was, it's a little bit like it's the conversation we just had. When he got to New England, that cupboard was empty. I mean, there just was not much there for him, right? I remember talking to a good friend who was looking at the quarterbacks in that draft class before they came out, and sat with John Lynch and looked at all the quarterbacks coming out, and they felt like Mac was the most NFL ready quarterback in that draft class. But he just got to New England when there was just nothing there for him. And so really happy for him, after bouncing around for a second, to get a chance to get out there and perform with some real talent around him. And I don't think anybody's advocating that that Brock Purdy's done, but to see Mac have that kind of success is really cool, because I know that I was only around him one time in New England, but I know that they really, really liked him in New England and wanted him to succeed.
Character.
Yeah,
he's also taller. He's also tall, just like
Mac
you.
Max, he's not that tall. He's not that
taller
big.
Than Brock. That's what the streets are saying. The quarterback controversy streets. You're familiar with those. Doubleback Winery. Go to doubleback.com. Listen, if you have a wine desire, whether it's in the morning, it's at night, you want to argue with your spouse, that's the perfect way to do it. Doubleback Winery. And then you can make up by buying a nice Merlot or something to say, I'm sorry. Doubleback.com. Drew, we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Always fun to talk to you, Kay. We'll see you soon.
You're the best. Love talking to you.
Travel safe. Have fun in London.
Thanks. I will. Oh, I will.